Remember when everyone thought Bronny James was the next big thing? Well, hold on to your seats, because the NBA preseason just dropped a bombshell. Bronny's not just struggling, he's redefining what it means to have a rough start. We're talking stats so bad, they make your high school benchwarmer look like an all-star. But here's the kicker. It's not just the numbers. The entire basketball world is buzzing, and not in a good way. Stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the Bronny James situation, and trust me, it's wilder than you think. Let's rewind a bit. Bronny James was supposed to be basketball royalty. From the moment he could dribble, all eyes were on him. High school highlights, McDonald's All-American, the works. Then came the draft, and the Lakers swooped in with the 55th pick. It wasn't first round, but hey, he was in the NBA, right? Fast forward to the preseason, and things are looking, well, let's just say not great. In his first 4 preseason games, Bronny's averaging a whopping 1 point per game. You heard that right, 1 single point. To put that in perspective, there are benchwarmers in high school averaging more than that. But wait, it gets worse. His shooting percentage? A mind-boggling 9.4%. For those of you who aren't math wizards, that means he's missing over 90% of his shots. If this was a test, he'd be failing spectacularly. Now you might be thinking, okay, but maybe he's contributing in other ways? Sorry to burst your bubble, but the answer is a resounding no. 0 assists in 3 out of 4 games, more turnovers than points. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, except the car is Bronny's NBA dreams. Let's break down his performances game by game. Game 1 against the Timberwolves, 2 points, 1 of 6 from the field. The only bright spot? 3 blocks. At least he can jump, right? Game 2 versus the Suns. A big fat 0 in the points column. 4 turnovers. It's like he was playing for the other team. Game 3 against the Bucks. Another goose egg. 0 to 4 from the field. At this point, you've got to wonder if the rim has a personal vendetta against him. Game 4 facing the Warriors, 2 points again. 1 to 5 from the field. At least he's consistent. Consistently bad. Now, before you start feeling too sorry for Bronny, remember this. He signed a 4-year, $7.9 million contract with the Lakers. That's right, he's getting paid millions to put up these numbers. Talk about a sweet gig if you can get it. But here's where things get really interesting. It's not just the stats that are causing a stir. The entire NBA community is talking, and they're not mincing words. One Eastern Conference executive didn't pull any punches. He said, and I quote, "The expectations for Bronny by the fan base and by LeBron and Rich Paul are not commensurate with the reality of his game. If they had any real idea of how far away Bronny is, they just would not have done this." Another Eastern Conference scout who's been watching Bronny for years dropped this truth bomb. You're set up for failure. It's like, what's the expectation here? It's a fair question. What exactly were the Lakers thinking when they drafted Bronny? Was it a basketball decision, or was it just to make LeBron happy? Because let's be real, if Bronny's last name wasn't James, he probably wouldn't even be in the league right now. Speaking of LeBron, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How is the king handling his son's struggles? On the surface, he's all support and encouragement, but you've got to wonder what's going on behind closed doors. Is he pushing Bronny too hard? Is the pressure of living up to the James name too much? And let's not forget, Bronny's not just any rookie. He's a rookie playing for one of the most storied franchises in NBA history, alongside his father, who happens to be one of the greatest players of all time. Talk about pressure. But it's not all doom and gloom. At least that's what the Lakers want you to believe. New head coach J.J. Redick is trying to put a positive spin on things. He said, "We view Bronny as a case study 1 because of his base level of feel, athleticism, point of attack defender, shooting, passing. There's a lot to like about his game." To be fair, there have been a few glimmers of hope. Bronny's shown some defensive potential, racking up a few blocks. And his teammate, Anthony Davis, had some kind words. He's tough. Obviously, he's defensive-minded, some great blocks, and the physicality he gets over screens. He's good with his hands with deflections and steals. But let's be real. A few blocks and deflections don't make up for being an offensive black hole. And in today's NBA, If you can't score, you're not going to last long. Now, here's where things get even spicier. DeMarcus Cousins, a former Laker and four-time All-Star, recently dropped a bombshell about the Lakers' intentions.
I mean, I take it as a move as I don't really think the Lakers are serious anymore. You know, I love everything that it stands for. I think, you know, what Bron is doing with his legacy and just, you know, as a businessman and everything that comes with it, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's really, really dope. But as far as the Lakers actually competing, I don't know. I take that as a sign as they aren't really serious. You know, with the way their season ended last year with the high expectations, I expected more from them as far as making moves. I do like the kid from Tennessee that they drafted. I think he could, you know, be a instant impact player for them. But they had a lot of concerns last year that I don't think really were addressed, and you know, I didn't really see those moves being made in the offseason as well. So you know, it's TBD in my opinion.
Now, let's be clear. Cousins isn't the be-all and end-all of NBA analysis. He's got his own biases and perspectives. But when a former player, someone who's been in the trenches, makes a statement like this, it's worth paying attention to. It raises some serious questions. Are the Lakers really putting winning on the back burner to accommodate LeBron's wishes? Is the Bronny James experiment going to cost them a shot at a championship? And most importantly, is this fair to Bronny? Think about it. If the Lakers aren't seriously trying to win, if they're just going through the motions to keep LeBron happy, where does that leave Bronny? He's already struggling with the pressure and expectations. Now he's got to deal with the possibility that he's not even there on merit, but as part of some grand plan to please his dad? That's a lot for a 20-year-old kid to handle, and it might explain some of his on-court struggles. If you don't feel like you truly belong, if you're constantly second-guessing why you're even there, how can you play with confidence? So, what's next for Bronny James? The Lakers have made it clear that they're committed to his development. There's talk of him spending significant time in the G League with the South Bay Lakers. And honestly, that might be the best thing for him right now. Away from the bright lights and intense scrutiny of the NBA, Bronny might have a chance to find his game. The G League has been a proving ground for many players who've gone on to have successful NBA careers. But the question remains, does Bronny have what it takes? One NBA scout doesn't think so, at least not yet. He said, based on what we've seen so far, Bronny is not yet at an NBA level. His physical tools are there, but his skill set needs significant refinement. But here's the thing about the NBA. It's full of late bloomers and surprise success stories. Players like Jimmy Butler and Chris Middleton weren't immediate stars. They took time to develop and are now all-stars. Could Bronny follow a similar path? It's possible, but he's got a long way to go. He needs to work on his shooting consistency, improve his playmaking, maintain his defensive intensity, build his physical strength, and perhaps most importantly, develop the mental toughness to handle the pressure of being LeBron James's son. Speaking of LeBron, let's not forget that this whole situation is complicated by the fact that father and son are now teammates. LeBron has been vocal about his desire to play with Bronny before retiring. But is this dream actually hindering Bronny's development? One sports journalist thinks it might be. He said, "The Lakers are in a tricky position. They want to compete for championships with LeBron, but they also need to develop Bronny. Balancing these priorities could be challenging, especially if Bronny isn't ready to contribute at a high level immediately." It's a fair point. The Lakers are in win-now mode with LeBron on the roster. They can't afford to give Bronny significant playing time if he's not producing, but without playing time, how is he supposed to improve? And let's not forget the financial aspect of all this. The Lakers are paying Bronny nearly $8 million over 4 years. That's a significant investment for a player who, so far, hasn't shown he can contribute at an NBA level. Are they really willing to essentially waste that money just to keep LeBron happy? On the flip side, if Cousins is right and the Lakers aren't serious about winning, maybe they're fine with Bronny taking up a roster spot and eating into the salary cap. But that seems like a dangerous game to play in a league as competitive as the NBA. There's also the question of what this means for Bronny's long-term career. If he can't cut it with the Lakers, will another team be willing to take a chance on him, or will he be forever seen as a nepotism case? A player who only made it to the league because of his last name? These are tough questions, and they don't have easy answers. But one thing's for sure, the Bronny James situation is far from over. Whether he turns things around and becomes a solid NBA player, or whether he goes down as one of the biggest draft busts in recent memory, his story is going to be one to watch. And let's not forget about the impact this could have on LeBron's legacy. He's already considered one of the greatest players of all time, but could this Bronny situation tarnish that legacy? Will people look back and say that LeBron put his personal desires ahead of the team's success? Or, in a best-case scenario, could this be the start of something truly special? Imagine if Bronny does turn things around, if he develops into a solid NBA player. The story of a father and son playing together in the NBA, winning championships side by side, that would be the stuff of legends. But for now, that dream seems a long way off. Bronny James is struggling. The Lakers are facing tough questions about their priorities, and the basketball world is watching with bated breath to see what happens next. So, where does this leave Bronny James? Is he destined to be remembered as one of the biggest busts in NBA history? Or is this just the beginning of an underdog story for the ages? And what about the Lakers? Are they really not serious about winning anymore? One thing's for sure, the basketball world will be watching his every move. And who knows, maybe next time we check in on Bronny, he'll have turned things around.